Hey y'all, Happy New Year. Welcome to your first week of the new year. You're either really super excited, super exhausted from your holiday activities, or just kind of chill. Wherever you may be starting on some New Year's resolution because January is the time that everybody wants to embark upon change and transformation. It's quarter one of the new year, and you want to hit the ground running. However, I kind of don't believe in starting in January. Sometimes December, November is the best time frame to start something new, to work out all the kinks so that you can maximize the time in the new year. But if you didn't do that, that's fine too. I think January is a great time for reflection, actually. Reflection on the past year, the things that you want to accomplish in this new year, and where you want life to go and what that looks like for you, which requires deep reflection. A lot of us jump into changes in the first quarter of the new year or even in the first month without doing the proper reflection on where we're at today, how far we have come, all the things that we have accomplished, the things that we still need to work on, if there's anything to work on, and what we want to accomplish and what that looks like. For a lot of you, we've discussed that in October, November, December. We started talking about the Maslow Hierarchy of Needs, and I sent that information out to you in the form of a PDF. And what I wanted you to do is to do some deep insight on what those levels mean for you. What does that look like for you beyond your basic needs, right? Maslow kind of establishes the hierarchy of needs and the basics of what we need, but we all know that the basics aren't enough. It does not always equate to wish fulfillment or progress. It just means that we are able to sustain ourselves at a minimum if these things are met. What I wanted you to do is to look at the Maslow hierarchy of needs beyond what your basic needs are, but to expand upon that into what it looks like for you to really be where you want to be at today. And that is going to require you to go beyond your basic needs of food, clothing, shelter, and supportive relationships. How do we get to that next level where you want to be in life, to where you feel fulfilled, feel like you're working towards those goals that are important to you, whether they be spiritual goals, physical goals, mental wellness, physical wellness, or progress in your education or progress in your occupational field, or maybe you're wanting to transform and change into a whole different industry, or maybe you're wanting to scale back and focus more on family and building that up, or maybe you want to focus on building meaningful friendships and relationships or working on your intimacy, whatever that may be. It looks different for each person, which is why we have to go beyond the very basics of what Maslow establishes as our hierarchy of needs. We need to make sure that those basic needs are being met. But once we have met those needs, what are our other needs and expand upon that? It's important that you know what those are so that you can establish goals that align with those needs, so that you can apply to jobs that align with those needs, so that you can nurture and foster relationships that meet those needs and ask that those needs are being met, because if they're not, then you're compromising. And when you're compromising too much, you fall out of balance, you fall out of connection and alignment with what your needs are, and then you fall into discontent, hopelessness, and fear that you're not going to be able to overcome these things. And a lot of these things may require you to release an old narrative of what your needs are and embrace a new narrative of what those needs are. And so that's why this exercise is very important for you to do in order for us to move forward in therapy so that we can align with those specific needs. And even if you're not in therapy, if you go beyond the therapeutic framework, you still need to have a good understanding and comprehension of what your needs are, which requires some deep introspection. It requires for you to understand what reciprocity looks like, what balance looks like for you. You know what I'm saying? Not just what it means for what somebody else or what the text says it should be, because it is unique to you and it is not something that is static, that stays in one place. It is dynamic. So, whatever those needs that expanded beyond your basic hierarchy of needs, it's not the same as what they were when you were 5. They're not the same as what they were when you were 14, 18, 20. They change. They change because of environmental circumstances. They change because of your place in society, whether it be physical, mental, emotional, environmental, whatever it may be, they change. But what are your needs right now today in order to get you not just to sustain you, but to prosper you, to progress you? That's what I want you to figure out. But first, I want us to understand completely what Maslow hierarchy of needs are and see where you fall with that and where you want to go. So let's get started. What you see now in front of you is a pyramid that is representative of the 5 levels of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, from ascending to descending in upwards motion. So at the very bottom is the basics, and then it kind of climbs up to self-actualization. So at the bottom, you have your physiological needs, which are your physical needs. It's at the foundation, and it includes the very basic things that you need for survival, right? You need a foundation, including breathing, food, water, shelter, sleep, and warmth. We all know that we need food and water in order to sustain us physically. We all know that we need shelter from the outside environments in order for us to not succumb to things such as the heat, extreme cold, and weather events that occur, right? And then we also need sleep. We only can go so long without sleep. We need it to regenerate. Our brains need it. Our bodies need it to go through its healing process. Our brain needs it in order to increase functioning and reasoning. We know that that is one of the first things to go when we are tired or when we do not get enough sleep. The next level you will see is safety needs, security, stability, freedom from fear, health, and resources. So safety looks like being secure from harm. That also goes into our shelters, also protect us from harm from the outside elements, animals, from all kinds of things that could potentially kill you, right? We have the stability of our finances that sustain our homes, our shelters, that provides warmth and a place of sleep. We have freedom from fear because we know that fear actually gives our minds, our bodies, our spirits a sense of not being safe. Health is an important aspect of our safety needs because our own bodies can pose a threat to our viability, our ability to live, and enjoy our environments and our things. And we also need resources. We have love and belonging needs, which includes friendships, families, intimacy, and a sense of connection to our communities. We know that when we are lacking in those areas, it does impact our ability to function within our communities and our environments and within our relationships. Next level of the pyramid, we have our esteem needs, our self-respect, our confidence, our achievement, our recognition, and our respect from others. All of those external factors that are feeding into our level of confidence, how we feel about ourselves, and how we show up in the world. And then at the very top, what we have reached a point of self-actualization where we have reached our full potential, our full creativity, personal growth, and fulfillment, something that we're always striving for, right? And a lot of these things with self actualization, what that looks like is different for all of us. And so, as we explore these levels of what we need, they're not going to always resonate the same for each of us, right? When we look at our physical needs, what do we need in order to feel like our physiological needs are being met? It may even be different according to gender assignment or gender affiliation. It may look different based off of a lot of different other factors that are different, for all of us. And safety needs may look different. Like what may seem perfectly safe for one person is not safe for other people. So we have to expand our thinking beyond, well, what feels safe to me? Just because it's safe to all of these other people does not equate to safety for me. Love and belonging, those needs may look different for everybody. Some people need to feel more connected while others like to have a little more space, a little more freedom to move about. Esteem, where we gain our esteem from. Some people are intrinsically motivated, and some people are intrinsically motivated. Things that build their confidence is very different for each side. And self-actualization, what does one's full potential look like? That is it anchored to what your parents believe your full potential is, or is full potential what you believe? When you step outside of how others view you, what does reaching your full potential may lead? What does that look like for you? Because for some people, it's being a doctor, a prominent doctor at a Fortune 500 for-profit hospital, bringing in $1.5 million in annual income. But self-actualization for someone else may look like a beautiful family with 4 children and a nice community. It looks different for everybody. So what you need to do and what we need to figure out together is what is your hierarchy of needs, right? So we can say, what is Chanel's hierarchy of needs? So pull out your notebook or a sheet of paper and let's do this right now. Actually, this will be a great start to your journal. We can put this right at the front of your journal. So we're going to start at the bottom. We started from the bottom, we're going to reach the top. Little bit at your eight. Started from the bottom and now we're here, right? Anyways, so at the very basic level is your physiological needs. Remember in the previous slide, we talked about the foundation of needs, which includes your ability to breathe, to take in oxygen. All living things need oxygen. Food for energy, water for replenishment, shelter for protection, sleep to regenerate, to heal, and warmth. And then, of course, the summer you need to be able to be in a space that provides shade and cool your body temperature down so you don't overheat. So we've got that. So most of us pretty much have that. For some of us, this is a priority though, when we're experiencing food insecurity and home insecurity. So when you put down your physiological needs, it is important that we note that at the foundation, you need to have clean quality, good air quality. You need sustenance in terms of food security. You need water and fluids to replenish your body. You need adequate housing, affordable housing and shelter. You need a good work-life balance to where you have good sleep hygiene, and you need to be in an environmentally in a an environmental regulation, or a shelter that has environmental regulation that can heat or cool you in an adequate way. When I grew up, that was a fan and an open window. In the summer, we did, or in the winter, we did have heat in the form of a radiator. Some people have space heaters, so it may look different for everybody, but these are our basic needs, and it's important to note that. But let's go beyond food, water, shelter, sleep, warmth. So we talked about that a little bit. So shelter may look like affordable housing and adequate housing. For you, that may be a goal that you want to set for 2026 and forward. Maybe this home isn't meeting your needs. Maybe you want a home that has a garage because you want your belongings or your car to be more secure, free from someone breaking into it. So you prefer to have an enclosed garage. Or you want the convenience of a dedicated space if you're living in a multi-level or multi-family dwelling instead of a single home. So that may be something that you find that is a need. It's okay if you don't want to be in a multi-dwelling home anymore without a dedicated space. Write that there. It's okay to say you need that. That is something that you now need. Yes, where you're at is adequate. Yes, it's meeting your needs, but you want to expand beyond that. So say that, communicate that. I need a single family home with a garage and a secure space. And it's important, especially if you're in the home buying market, that you identify what your needs are and don't compromise on it, because what you will find when you purchase that home and it's now your home, you're now dissatisfied. And so on the onset, it's important that you establish what your deal breakers are in terms of housing. And some of you may also um, decide that your physiological need also includes transportation. So you need transportation that is relevant to you, and that may look different for everybody. So individuals who are in rural communities, that is a barrier. It is a barrier to many things when you don't have adequate, reliable transportation, because you cannot rely on public transit in order to get you to where you need to go. And in some places, it is a transportation desert because they don't even have access to Uber or Lyft. So that might be something at the foundation of a physical need that you need for yourself. Another thing that you may want to add in terms of food is not just food insecurity, but food deserts. You may find that you don't have access to the right kind of foods that you want. So you want to look into other places where you're deciding, well, I want to now shift from using big brand markets such as Food Lions or big box stores, and I want to now shift to farmer markets. I want my food to be more organic and locally sourced. That might be a physiological need for you in order to improve the type of substances that you're putting into your body. Also, along with substances, your physiological needs may look like scaling back on the type of medications that you're taking and taking a more holistic approach to your medication management, or you may need to start getting on board with your medication management. You may have been non-compliant, which is not adhering to your treatment plan that your doctor has for you, which is creating some other issues for you, whether it be with sleep or just your physical functioning, the way in which your body functions. Another physiological need may be an increased activity. Maybe you have a primarily sedentary life and you want to engage in more activities such as running, walking, Pilates, yoga, stretching, whatever that may be, in order to increase your physical well being, your energy levels, and so on and so forth. Sleep. You may want to improve your sleep hygiene. Now, it's not just enough for you to get 8 hours of sleep. You want 8 hours of quality sleep. So that may look like I need to do a sleep study. I need to try to narrow down what it is that's preventing me from getting the full 8 hours of sleep or having a good hygiene, or limit distractions in my environment, whether it be noise discipline, or it could be even with your home. You could live in a place that's just noisy and it no longer suits your needs because it's robbing you of a peaceful sleep environment, or you're in living in a situation that is super stressful. So your needs are, you need a quiet home, you need to be in a single family dwelling, you need to be in a community that has noise discipline, or there's like these hours and quiet hours. That's what it's called. A lot of HOAs have quiet hours, to where you can't make any kind of loud noises that disturbs your other neighbors at this time, to improve sleep. Or you could be in a medical professional or someone who works shift work, where you need an environment that is more conducive to that. So when we're looking at your physiological needs, that's what I mean in going beyond just breathing, going beyond just making sure you get at least one meal a day in water. Once you have met your baseline and your basic needs, let's go beyond that. What is that for you? And I would love to hear what you come up with. So next we have our safety needs. Safety needs, remember, include security, stability, freedom from fear, health, and resources. So resources is a big thing. So this may be an area to where you need an increased attention in. What resources do you need in order to progress you forward? It may look very different now that you're out of school. Before, you need tutoring resources, you needed maybe financial aid, maybe you needed a part-time work schedule that was flexible, maybe you needed additional assistance with completing some chores at home where someone else maybe had to cover down so that you can increase your study time, those sort of things. But the resources that you need now that you've moved beyond that, or that you're transitioning careers, may look different. You may need access to a professional mentor. You may need access to resources that help you develop tailored resumes or tailored cover sheets, or you may need resources in terms of job fairs and making networking connections with people who can link you up with adequate employment. Your health may change. You may be experiencing challenges or difficulties in your health, or you may not have any needs regarding your health at this time. What does that look like for you? When we look at security, safety, and stability, this goes hand in hand with those of you who are in the job market. What looks like financial stability for you? Is it a job or a career that just provides the bare minimum? Or do you need a career that not only allows you to cover your needs, but maybe some of your wants? Maybe you're wanting to get out more, enjoy culture, or travel. Maybe you need financial stability, may looks like covering your basic needs while also providing the extra income to pay off some of your debt or pay down on some of your debt within a certain amount of time frame. What does stability look like for you? You need to establish other streams of income. What is necessary in order for your financial needs to be met, so that your security needs can be met, so that you can cover your housing in a way that's affordable and not creating strain in other areas? Security, when we were talking about security in homes, what does that look like for you? Given maybe some of your traumas that you have experienced surrounding safety and security. Does it mean maybe living with a roommate, Or maybe is it leaving the roommate situation because you feel like they expose you to dangerous situation or people that you're not comfortable with? A lot of these things should be considered when you're looking at what those safety needs look like for you. Even in the workplace, is your job safe? Is it ambiguous or is it confusing? Are you fearful of being fired? Are you fearful of making a mistake? Is it a culture that inspires growth, training, support, or is it an environment that constrains, constricts, and kind of stumps out your creativity? Is it meeting the needs is it meeting the goals that you have for yourself, not just career-wise, but personally, mentally, physically, emotionally? Is it a job that requires you to stand all day, but that doesn't really align with your health? Let's look at those things as well as we continue to move forward in 2026. Going up to the next section where we're talking about our love and belonging needs. As human beings, we need that connection to others in the form of friendship, family, intimacy, and a sense of connection to the community. I think the biggest word that we need to get to when we're looking at what our needs is that we all need reciprocity. When you look at theories such as social learning theory and social exchange theory, it talks a lot about reciprocity. Is the relationship transactional and conditional, or is it transformative where it allows for growth and expansion and evolution to occur in a safe environment? And are my needs being met? Are my needs being met in this relationship or in this interaction, or are only the other person's needs being met? Because we need that give and receive. We have to pour in and pour out. It has to be that equal give and take, right? In all relationships, regardless of what form did they come in. We need that. We get a lot of our inputs from that. And so are these healthy relationships, or am I getting all negativity and no positivity? Because nothing is ever always and never, it's not really like that. So are your needs being met? Are we all growing together? Or is something anchoring me? Is something holding me back in a past life narrative or a past life role that is no longer who I am or who I'm trying to attain and be? Are these relationships keeping me bound? Are they keeping me stagnant? Or are they prospering me? Are they progressing me? Are they adding to my spiritual, physical, mental, emotional growth? Because if they're not, then they're no longer in balance. And how can we get those back in balance? But what does that look like for you? What does supportive relationships look like for you? What do you need from other people in order to feel loved and supported? That's a good place right here, is to identify what those needs are for you, not everybody else, but for you. Going up to the next session is also important. Esteem needs, our self-respect, our confidence, achievement, recognition, and respect from others. It's absolutely important that you're hitting those benchmarks and that you're getting those achievements. And it's important to note those. But what does achievement look like for you? How do you feel confident? What makes you feel confident? Where do you derive that confidence from? How are you being respected by others in your environment? Because if you find you're in an environment where you're not respected, then you're probably not in the right environment. It probably doesn't mean that you're failing or you're not good at this, whatever the particular thing is. You probably are. You just a fish out of water. You're in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong people, and you need to figure out what you need so that you can attract those people who are supportive to your needs and respect your talents, your skills, and recognize them and verbalize them and give you those positive affirmation and positive feedback that you need, as well as the critical information that you need in order for you to improve and course correct. Because it's the same thing. If all you're getting is accolades and applause and it is not being balanced with constructive criticism, you can find yourself moving backwards in a place where you thought you were actually hitting benchmarks and achieving, but you were just really in an environment that wasn't really being honest and transparent in their feedback. So being honest with ourselves and what what that looks like for us and the tangible evidence that we are hitting those markers. Also, when you're looking at esteem needs, a lot of that can also be stemmed or tied to your spirituality and your faith systems. How do you fit into those narratives and those needs? And not exclusive to that, but incorporating it in all areas of your life so that you don't feel in conflict with that. And then lastly, you have self actualization. You need to clearly define what success looks like for you. What does reaching your full potential look like? And what is that? And we're talking about outside of our roles and our titles, and we're talking about within the context of our roles and our titles. Because once we strip those away, who are you if you're not a registered nurse? Who are you if you're not a doctor, if you're not a therapist, if you're not a pastor, if you're not a banker, or if you're not a janitor at a school or a school teacher, or you're not the guy that paves our roads, that participates in construction, that builds communities, or a politician or a singer or an actor. What are you outside of that? Who are you when we strip those roles away? And have you achieved your full potential as a human being on this planet? Did you achieve the goal? Did you understand the assignment? That is personal growth. That is fulfillment. You have very two distinct ones. Ones are your professional ones, and one is who you are as a human being. The ones that you are at the self-actualization as a human being. Am I what I want to be in this life? And what that looks like. So I hope this exercise helped, and I'll be excited as your therapist to hear what that is, and what you're able to learn about yourself in this process, and how you can better articulate that to someone else, because people cannot meet your needs if you're unable yourself to clearly define what those needs are. And a lot of people will tell you, I don't know. I'm not good at making decisions. I really don't know what my needs are. But I guarantee you, you can tell someone when they're doing something you don't like. And if you can identify clearly what you don't like as a human being that is capable of thought, growth, and progress, you should be able to clearly identify what you do like and what you do need. So if you're putting someone on notice on what you do or what you don't like, they're every bit entitled to knowing precisely what it is that you do like and what support looks like for you. You can't demand something from people that you can't articulate to them. And so, what we're trying to do here is to build our literacy, comprehension, and ability to articulate and communicate our needs, our emotions, and our thoughts to others. Okay. I hope you got something out of this. I can't wait to hear from you. Let me know. Take care.